Hi, and welcome to this episode of Mr. UV. Today we will discuss LED technology and its place in the UV LED marketplace. We have multiple LED curing systems in our facility that we use to validate and verify customer applications every day. Joining me today from Phoseon Technology is Mike Higgins. Hi Mike, and thanks for joining us today and giving us the opportunity for our viewers to learn a little bit more about LED technology and its role in manufacturing.
Hi Colin, thanks so much for having me.
To start off, why don't you give us a little information about yourself and Phoseon?
Yes, so I'm the Director of Sales for the Americas region. I've been in the UV industry since the early 2000s and have a deep-rooted passion in all things UV curing.
So LED, we use lights to cure coatings or adhesives on substrates. Could you give us a little background on what makes LED much different than microwave or arc lamp technology?
Yeah, so LEDs from a physical perspective are significantly smaller, more compact, and higher powered than traditional UV curing lamp technology. And the beauty of UV LED is that you're still UV curing. So you've got a different wavelength that is generated by the UV LED in the narrow, high UVA range. But at the end of the day, the chemistry and the reactivity and things like that are very similar to traditional UV curing, but you get a variety of different advantages with the latest technology.
LEDs have been used for print and other graphic arts applications. Is LED capable of curing three-dimensional parts and larger parts?
Sure. So early on, UV LED was relatively low in curing power. And therefore, flat substrates where you could mount the lamp very close to the surface of the substrate was necessary. As power increased for UV LEDs, that allowed us to back the lamps off a little bit further. In addition to that, the physical size of the curing lamps themselves are such that they can be mounted in various different angles, positions, and can also be scaled to cover very wide areas of cure. So there are very few limitations when it comes to how to design the appropriate curing system for the object, whether it be flatline or a three-dimensional object.
In building, to cure a three-dimensional part, adding all these additional lights, the nice thing about LED, if I understand it right, is you'll be using a lot less energy consumption than other previous technologies.
That's correct. So if you compare them side by side, your energy consumption is going to be roughly 50% less when both traditional UV curing and UV LED are running. Where the savings can really start to increase is when you realize that the LED curing lamps are instant on-off. So the lamp itself is only on when you're actually producing material. And when you're not, the lamp is completely off. So depending on your utilization rate, your savings can be upwards of 80 to 90% of your previous curing technology.
I see you brought a LED light with you today. Could you go on a little more into detail about the unit you're holding?
Well, you can see from the physical size, Colin, this lamp is quite a bit smaller than traditional curing lamps. And this lamp is now available with a power of 20 watts per centimeter squared, which is roughly 5 times greater than all of the traditional mercury lamps that are available.
Some of your units, I believe, are water-cooled.
That's correct. And the main difference between air-cooled and water-cooled is going to be the physical size of the water-cooled units are smaller than the air-cooled. And they also require a chiller to cool the unit.
Are there any restrictions or limitations to how big or small you can build a light?
There really aren't. The lamps are designed to be scaled side by side to cover as wide of an area as necessary. So we really don't have any limitations with our modular approach to UV LED.
Mike, what applications is LED involved with today in the marketplace?
So anything that's currently UV cured today has adopted UV LED at some level. Some of the areas like industrial coatings would be more in the early stages, pilot plants, laboratory testing. Some other markets like digital inkjet or narrow web flexo have a high rate of adoption and hundreds of commercial locations that are running today.
Do you see any specific market industries that appear to be growing in the LED market today?
We really see a lot of opportunity for UV LED in the industrial coating space. lots of customers in that marketplace are looking to reduce VOCs, reduce the physical footprint of their manufacturing equipment, are looking for greater workplace safety, and LED answers all of those questions.
Mike, as I understand, Phoseon is a US-based company and you manufacture in the United States like Allied. Could you go into more details about that?
We do. Phoseon was established in 2002 in Hillsboro, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland, Oregon. We have over 300 patents on all of our LED curing equipment, and still to this day manufacture every single one of our lamps in the United States at our facility in Hillsboro.
One common misconception is that if it's manufactured in the United States, it must come with a hefty price tag or much more expensive than foreign options. Mm-hmm. Is that any truth to that statement?
Well, we found over the years, being such a large manufacturer of LED curing equipment, that prices have come down substantially compared to where they were just a couple years ago. So economies of scale have played a big impact on this. The popularity of LED curing diodes has helped with the overall price of the systems. And through the years, we've been able to streamline our manufacturing, reduce the number of components, make more similar units at higher volumes, and our goal is always to pass along those savings to the customer in order to expand the market.
Mike, when starting up a UV operation, there's many things that have to connect to make a startup successful. Could you explain the relationship between coating supplier, equipment supplier, and the application itself, why that's so critical to have a successful startup?
That's a really good point, Colin. And through the years, what we've always found to be the best approach is to connect the UV chemistry supplier, the lamp manufacturer, as well as the end user to work together from the beginning in order to make a project commercially successful. All three sides have to have a common goal and a common understanding of what the expectations are and what some of the potential limitations are, so that those things can be mitigated throughout the process.
Is there anything extra that you want to share with our viewers today about LED technology and why people should think about going LED?
Well, I think anyone who is looking to advance their manufacturing, to increase their throughput, to resolve some of the headaches that they deal with day to day, UV LED may be the answer to those questions. So what we have found is that by taking a consultative approach, understanding people's processes, and then help guiding them towards some of the advantages of LED is usually the best step. And LED technology isn't an all-for-one scenario. You can have just a few LED curing stations in addition to some of the traditional curing or thermal curing that people have done before and still reap some of the benefits of the technology. So what we find is that most people start with one or two systems and then ultimately work to transition their entire facility over to UV LED.
Okay. Well, talking about LED, we barely scratched the surface here today, but if our viewers would like to learn more about LED or Phoseon, can you let them know where they could find out where to find you at?
Absolutely. Well, like everything, our website has a good place to start at Phoseon.com. We also have a YouTube channel that highlights a number of different videos that we've taken from the field and try to bring that field experience right into the user's home. And we're also very active on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, Mike. We had a blast having you on. And we'll see you next time on our next episode of Mr. UV.